Abstract. While the digital economy is flourishing and developing, it has also produced a capitalization tendency, and has bred many disadvantages such as a new type of polarization between the rich and the poor, digital monopoly, people's livelihood security, and sovereign security. From the perspective of ownership, these disadvantages fundamentally stem from the contradiction between social mass production and private possession of digital means of production. From the perspective of the capitalization process of the digital economy, these disadvantages are the product of the capitalization of the elements of the digital economy and the capitalization of the operating model. From the perspective of productivity and production relations, the development of advanced digital technologies such as blockchain, big data, artificial intelligence, and cloud computing has two sides, and the trend of public ownership and capitalization of the digital economy coexist. But in the final analysis, from the two perspectives of system and technology, the combination of socialist public ownership and advanced digital technology determines that public ownership is the inevitable trend of China's digital economy development. At present, while digital technology is constantly transforming the old production and distribution methods, it has also been changing the capitalist production and distribution methods. The surface of the prosperity of the digital economy conceals capital's control over digital means of production, productivity, and production relations, distribution relations, and consumption relations. Out of the pursuit of efficiency and residual value, capital rapidly promoted the formation, development, and maturity of the digital economy in the early stages of digital economy development, and gradually formed the digital infrastructure under its control. In this process, the spatial globalization of the digital economy, the platformization of the model, and the oligopolization of the number have gradually formed. The monopoly of digital economy platforms involves a large number of digital workers, platform consumers, and other related issues, but the fundamental driving force behind its monopoly is actually capital. The primary nature of capital makes the digital economy platform penetrate into every corner of the market. A series of typical events around the world have demonstrated the threat posed by the capitalization of the digital economy to the security of international exchanges, national financial security, and sovereign security. The behavior of some digital economy platforms has endangered the national economy, people's livelihood, and even national security. Therefore, it is necessary and urgent to study the disadvantages of digital economy capitalization and related issues such as the independence and security of digital technology, innovation, and supervision. 1. Digital economy elements, model capitalization, and its process. In 2016, the G20 Digital Economy Development and Cooperation Initiative defined the digital economy as a process that takes digital knowledge and information as the key production factors, takes the network as an important carrier, and improves efficiency and optimizes the economic structure through information and communication technology. Series of economic activities. According to the technical attributes and application attributes of the digital economy, it can be divided into digital industrialization and industrial digitalization. Digital industrialization refers to the industry formed by products and services brought about by digital technology, and industrial digitalization refers to the empowerment and transformation of traditional industries by digital technology. Marx pointed out in the 1844 economic and philosophical manuscripts, capital is the private right to the labor products of others. Controlled or occupied, and gradually formed a dominant position in digital production technology, labor relations, and distribution relations. We call this process digital economy capitalization. The capital here is different from the current neutral capital concepts such as financial capital, state-owned capital, and capital as a market element in a narrow sense. The capitalization of digital economy in this article refers to the privatization of digital economic capital. 1. Capitalization of digital economy elements. From the perspective of Marxist theoretical productivity and production relations, the core elements of the digital economy can be summarized as capital, digital technology, digital means of production, and digital labor. The specific manifestation of the capitalization of the digital economy can be expanded to the capitalization of various elements of the digital economy. In the process, it is manifested in the monopoly of capital on technology, the possession of data and information, and the control of labor relations and distribution relations. The degree of capitalization depends on the degree of capital's control over the elements of the digital economy. Capital in the sense of the digital economy is not divorced from the essence of capital under the historical materialism of Marxism. Marx believed that capital is the unity of capital of means of production and capital of social relations. Capital is not a thing, but a human social relations between people. However, The form and carrier of digital economic capital are different from old-style industrial capital. The process of digital economic capitalization covers materialized capital, personalized capital, and digital capital. This process is carried in two aspects: digital industrialization and industrial digitization. Marx believed that the purpose of capital is to exchange value, especially to increase surplus value, rather than use value. From the underlying logic, digital capital still follows the meaning of capital in the sense of Marx's Das Kapital, but digital capital is different from traditional capital. The biggest difference is that with the support of the digital platform built by digital technology, the speed and scale of its expansion and proliferation have rapidly expanded. The centralization and scale of the internet make it more efficient for capital to occupy production materials and cover users. The capitalization of digital technology refers to the gradual control of technology by capital. Technology itself has no desires, it is an integral part of productivity, which determines the possibility of production methods and the combination of people and production materials. However, the technology controlled by capital will become a tool for capital to control production methods, production materials, and production relations, and serve capital proliferation. Marx said, "Since capital came to the world, its huge penetration and integration capabilities have changed the appearance and development process of technology." The capitalization of digital technology is formed in this way. First, it is the product of the alliance between technology and capital. Technology pursues efficiency, and capital pursues proliferation. There is a logical agreement between technology and capital, and technology is transformed into technical capital through capitalization. Technological capital has both the universal characteristics of technology and the general attributes of capital. Its purpose is to pursue high efficiency and as high value added. The premise is that technological achievements become commodities, and the key step is to accumulate commodity money into capital. The capitalization of digital means of production is also manifested in the control of capital over digital means of production. Information and data are the most important means of production in the era of digital economy, just like oil in the era of industrial economy. Digital means of production are different from land and raw materials in the old capitalist period, which are mainly information and data generated by digital technology. The major difference between the means of production of the digital economy and the traditional economic model is that in the era of the digital economy, the means of production are no longer just traditional land and raw materials. All behavior tracks left by people in online life may become raw materials for digital production. After screening and processing by digital technology, these raw materials can enter the circulation market and form commodities that can be traded, thereby generating exchange value. Compared with the traditional economy, the digital economy surpasses the commodity form of physical exchange, and the control of capital on the means of production is manifested as the control of information and data in various links of the market, and is often displayed in the form of a digital economic platform. The capitalization of digital labor is manifested in the control of capital over labor. However, capitalization of labor does not mean that labor becomes capital, but that labor itself and labor relations are controlled by capital. The relationship between capital and labor is not the relationship between the means of production and the laborer, but two aspects of the capitalist mode of production. The combination of capital and technology has shaped such a relationship. Capital dominates technology to control the way workers work. Such a dominance relationship is more common but more hidden in the era of digital economy. We have seen that the basis of the development of capitalist production is, generally speaking, the opposition of labor capacity, a commodity belonging to the worker, to labor conditions, a commodity fixed in the form of capital and independent of the worker. Capitalization of labor force. The root of the problem lies in the capital's control over digital means of production, production technology, and laborers, which separates laborers from labor factors other than themselves, so that they can only be in the employment relationship with capitalists. The capitalist himself is but a function of capital, the worker himself a function of labor power. 2. Capitalization of the operation mode of the digital economy. From the perspective of the relationship between capital and productivity, means of production, and production relations, including labor relations and distribution relations, the monopoly of technology is the control of the productivity of the digital economy, and the possession of data and information is the control of the means of production of the digital economy. The monopoly of capital on productivity and the possession relationship of the means of production determine the production relationship of the digital economy, and the production relationship of the digital economy determines its labor relationship and distribution relationship. There are obvious differences between the digital economy and the traditional economic operation mode. Firstly, the circulation mode of market elements. Secondly, the production mode of products and services. And finally, the distribution mode of surplus value. The theory of digital capitalism holds that we are undergoing a phase transition within capitalism. The form and location of the production process, the composition of capital inputs, the most profitable commodities, the types of labor that appreciate and depreciate, the patterns of commercial consumption, capital, and the state, the respective roles of society and the relationship between social classes, all of which have changed dramatically since the 1970s. As far as the circulation mode of market elements is concerned, the traditional economic model is based on the circulation of physical space, and the circulation of production materials, production tools, and commodities mainly depends on cross-space transportation, while the digital economy mainly relies on the internet platform as the basis. The basic information network has the attributes of transcending space and highly agglomerating production factors. It uses information and data as the main raw materials for production. Compared with the traditional economic model, the circulation speed of digital economic market elements is faster. As far as the mode of production is concerned, the traditional economic model mainly relies on the production of machinery and industrial machines, but the digital economy has formed a more sophisticated intelligent industrial production on this basis, and has formed an internet virtual space based on communication technology that is different from traditional industries. A completely different form of virtual economy, that is, digital industrialization and industrial digitization. In terms of distribution methods, the difference between the traditional economic model and the digital economic model lies in the different forms of market resource allocation and surplus value distribution. Under the traditional economic model, the flow of resources between the upstream and downstream of industries and the distribution of surplus value are controlled by invisible hands. That is, the market is carried out, and although the resource allocation and surplus value distribution in the digital economy are also completed by the market, the hand of the market is often the digital economic platform that occupies the right to speak on the internet. To sum up, in the process of capitalization of the traditional economic model, capital mainly controls the market elements by controlling the materialized means of production, and then controls people, while the capitalization of the digital economy means that capital mainly forms a digital platform by controlling the informatized means of production, and then realize the control of the market and people. The platformization and scale of the digital economy can be quickly formed with the help of capital. Once the social wealth distribution mechanism is capitalized, a small number of private capitals that own the means of production can quickly monopolize wealth in a short period of time, forming an independent society for the means of production. From the control to the control of input, production, and distribution, firmly grasp the right to speak in the distribution of surplus value. On the list of the richest people in the United States, many people are engaged in the internet and digital economy industries, such as Bezos, chairman of the board of directors of Amazon Group, Zuckerberg, CEO of Facebook, Ellison, CEO of Oracle, Page, CEO of Google, and Tesla CEO Musk and the well-known Bill Gates. 3. Brief analysis of the process of digital economy capitalization. Marx believed that the use of surplus value as capital or the conversion of surplus value into capital is called capital accumulation. Like the primitive accumulation of industrial capitalism, the digital economy has also gone through different stages of primitive accumulation of capital. Compared with the primitive accumulation of industrial capital and financial capital, the primitive accumulation of digital capital presents a global, nonviolent, technology-led, and it is dominated by the power of capital. The process of capitalization of the digital economy is actually a process in which elements of the digital economy are gradually controlled by private capital. Capital controls the market, labor, and even consumer preferences through its control over the elements of the digital economy. In the United States, the original accumulation of the digital economy has obvious platform characteristics. Although the Internet was born in 1969, it took until the end of the 1990s to form a digital economy platform with a considerable scale, especially after the popularization of small computers and mobile phones. The midterm digital economy has gradually spawned comprehensive Internet platforms such as Facebook and Amazon. With the widespread use of smartphones, notebooks, tablets and other hardware devices that are lighter, smaller, and more popular, they have really penetrated into all aspects of social life. Constructing the platform framework of the digital economy world. The later stage of the digital economy platform sinks into more specific corners of social life, forming a platform for entertainment, social interaction, work, learning and consumption in daily life. They have become increasingly prosperous since the emergence of 4G networks, and the digital economy has begun to enter content production from the era of framework construction era. After completing the expansion of the digital territory, the digital economic platform has a stronger voice in the possession relationship of the means of production. After the capital completes the digital enclosure movement by means of digital technology and the platform model, it is bound to search and plunder the enclosed territory in a more detailed and thorough manner. Capital's pursuit of proliferation and technology's pursuit of efficiency will give rise to such a result. Try to occupy as much production materials as possible, and try to realize the control of the upstream, midstream and downstream of production to reduce the cost of each link and increase the cost of each link as much as possible. The efficiency of each link, in order to achieve the extension and control of the entire industrial chain, until it cannot be added. In this process, along with the exclusion of competitors, the control of the market, the formation of industry barriers and platform barriers, a monopoly is finally achieved. 2 disadvantages of digital economy capitalization. The prosperity of the digital economy is the product of advanced productive forces in society. It is constantly transforming the lifestyle of human society, and while improving the efficiency of social production, it is also brewing a digital economy capitalization crisis. First of all, the rapidly expanding digital economy giants in the era of digital economy continue to carry out the enclosure movement in the digital world, gradually forming digital monopoly and digital hegemony. Secondly, under the control of capital, the negative penetration of digital economic platforms into national cultural and entertainment life may evolve into capital's digital colonization of digital users, threatening the security of national ideology, culture, and the national economy and people's livelihood. Finally, as digital economic capital, the process of digitalization is deepening, and the degree to which digital production materials, labor, and technology are controlled and occupied by capital is also deepening. With the blessing of digital technologies such as big data and artificial intelligence, capital's digital control of efficiency and cost has given birth to rational violence. Internet platform oligarchs manipulate a large number of people in a more secretive way than in the industrial age, which can easily cause social polarization between rich and poor. 1. The main disadvantages of market order. From the beginning of its birth, the digital economy has a natural imprint of expansion and capitalization. Similar to the process of capitalist colonization, the development of the digital economy can not only see the enclosure movement of the digital world, but also the opening of new routes in the digital world. The positive impact of the digital economy on the national economy and people's livelihood is the improvement of economic efficiency in the short term, but the negative impact is a threat to long-term economic fairness. The first thing to mention is market monopoly. Before talking about the capitalization of the digital economy, it is necessary to distinguish the digital economy as an advanced force that promotes the development of the national economy and people's livelihood from the digital economy that threatens the national economy and people's livelihood after being capitalized. Both digital industrialization and digitalization of traditional industries are advanced forces for the development of the national economy and the people's livelihood driven by digital technology. However, after the capitalized digital economy completes the primitive accumulation of capital, it gradually becomes a force that hinders further economic development and threatens social equity, promoting social progress. On the contrary, it has become a force hindering social progress. With the gradual completion of the capitalization process of the digital economy, digital capital began to occupy and monopolize all fields and industries that are conducive to proliferation in the form of digital platforms, repel competitors in the industry, and occupy the living space of all competitors that can be occupied. Industry barriers. This will cause damage to the long-term sustainable and sound development of the market, and gradually evolve capital and chables that are hostile to social forces. The digital monopoly caused by the capitalization of the digital economy is obviously different from the traditional monopoly. The period for the digital economy to complete the primitive accumulation of capital is shorter and wider. At the macro level, the industrialization of the digital economy itself and the digitization of other industries have made the links between industries closer than the old industrial chains. The harm of capital to the market will ultimately be borne by laborers and consumers. Capital's control of the digital industry will bring about everything that is only the market. The digital living costs of the poor continue to increase, and the digital exploitation suffered by laborers is becoming more and more serious. The market seems to be full of vitality, but it is laying hidden dangers for the widening gap between the rich and the poor and the vicious development of the market. As far as China is concerned, if it does not pay attention to the negative social impact of the development of the digital economy for a long time, it will inevitably intensify the polarization. Therefore, we should actively respond to the challenges brought by the digital economy and create an innovative environment in the digital age that is conducive to market order and common prosperity. 2. Digital colonization under the capitalization of the digital economy. Some scholars say that we are facing a new stage of digital colonization. Nick Kudley argues that historical colonialism's occupation of land, natural resources, and flesh is the basis for the emergence of industrial capitalism. The digital colonization in the era of digital economy realizes the colonial occupation of daily life through various mechanisms such as digital platforms. Platforms generate a social capital that allows the value of data to be appropriated and exploited and interconnected with other data. Data colonialism is all about combining the predatory practices of historical colonialism with abstract computing. The fundamental problem brought about by the capitalization of the digital economy is the control of capital over people. The prosperity of the digital economy involves many national security issues such as market security, people's livelihood security, financial security, cultural security, and technological security. With the continuous maturity of digital technology, the combination of technology and capital has given birth to some huge internet oligarchs, forming a tendency of digital colonization of capital that poses a huge threat. Looking back at the history of Western capitalist overseas colonization and foreign aggression, from the overseas colonization of Spain and Portugal to the two industrial revolutions, colonialism is mainly manifested in the possession and plunder of territorial space and material wealth. Digital colonization in the digital economy era is manifested as the invasion of people's internet life and spiritual world by capital based on internet monopoly platforms. Digital colonization brings about the rule of capital over data and the rule of data over people. Capital forms the whole process of monitoring of resource plunder, labor production, and distribution of labor results through data, and the experience formed by the accumulation of a large amount of data and rapid calculation becomes a mathematical model one by one, thereby forming the rule of data over people. This kind of domination is fundamentally the domination of capital over people through the control of things. Capital's control over objects focuses on means of production, productivity, and surplus value, while its rule over people focuses on labor relations, consumption relations, and distribution relations. The capitalization of the digital economy has not yet broken away from the contradiction between socialized large-scale production and private possession of means of production. However, under this contradiction, the advancement of digital technology has enabled capital to control economic factors more and more deeply. 3. The capitalization of the digital economy triggers rational violence. Under the sophisticated big data labels and user portraits, the way and content of people's production and life are being deliberately shaped by capital to be more beneficial to themselves than to people. Artificial intelligence, blockchain, cloud computing, and big data, and other technologies, hereinafter referred to as ABCD, are products of the era of digital economic development and are typical representatives of current advanced productivity. But the emergence of these technologies also means that the tools that capital can use are more abundant. With the deepening of the capitalization of the digital economy, the signs of market development focusing only on growth, efficiency, and technology continue to emerge, resulting in rational violence in the digital economy era. The so-called rational violence means that capital uses these advanced technologies to control various links in the market, and treats people as a tool for proliferation rather than an end. In the face of rational violence, what people are facing is the crisis of their subjective status as human beings. Laborers and consumers are all facing the invasion of rational violence, and the technology behind the machines of the digital economy platform has spawned more and more algorithmic ethical issues and corporate moral issues. For laborers, labor process, labor time, and labor remuneration are generally included in the calculation of capital input-output ratio. For consumers, consumption preferences, consumption habits, consumption frequency, and other data that are of great value to capital are all secretly labeled in the system by the digital economy platform. Data from laborers and consumers as digital means of production is almost privately monopolized by digital economic platforms in terms of possession relationship. The private possession of digital production factors is the root cause of wealth inequality and social injustice in the digital economy. Data is one of the most critical factors of production in the era of digital economy, and the inequality of data possession leads to the inequality of power in the economic society. Digital capital controls the relations of production and distribution through the possession of digital means of production, and the surplus value obtained by capital from it is not only reinvested in reproduction, but also enjoys the value of the means of production it owns and inherent capital. The distribution between labor remuneration and the surplus value created by labor is only the first link in the polarization between rich and poor. After the completion of the original accumulation of capital, the market proliferation of capital will further widen the income gap between capital owners and ordinary laborers. Capital that has completed capital accumulation and controls digital means of production will continue to strengthen its control over means of production and labor. The specific disadvantages of digital economy capitalization are manifested in three pairs of basic contradictions: the contradiction between digital economy market competition and platform monopoly, the contradiction between digital production and private possession of digital production materials, and the contradiction between technology capitalization and national security. Entering the 21st century, the process of capitalization of the digital economy is similar to the enclosure movement and world colonization in the primitive accumulation period of capitalism, but the capitalization of the digital economy is faster and more hidden, and it seems to be more powerful than the old capitalism. The expansion is gentler, but actually a more intense concentration and expansion. From the perspective of ownership, the disadvantages of capitalization of the digital economy fundamentally stem from the contradiction between socialized mass production and private possession of digital production materials. From the perspective of the capitalization process of the digital economy, these disadvantages are the product of the capitalization of the elements of the digital economy and the capitalization of the operating mode. From the perspective of productivity and production relations, the two sides of the development of advanced digital technologies such as ABCD and 5G determine the coexistence of the short-term trend of digital economy capitalization and the long-term trend of public ownership. But in the final analysis, the combination of socialist public ownership and advanced digital technology determines that public ownership is the inevitable trend of China's digital economy development. 3. The publicization trend of the digital economy at the institutional level and technical level. The privatization of the digital economy has its realistic basis: one is the technical level, and the other is the institutional level. The development level of social productivity and the status quo of the system determine the coexistence of capitalization and public ownership trends in the development of the digital economy. At the technical level, digital technologies such as ABCD and 5G are fundamentally key components of advanced digital productivity. They determine the organizational structure, efficiency level, and labor methods of digital production. As for whether technology is service and capitalized or publicized, it depends. In the actual operating system, at the institutional level, especially represented by China, under the strong leadership of the party, we have always adhered to the basic socialist economic system, the economic system with public ownership as the mainstay and the coexistence of multiple ownerships, and the principle of distribution according to work as the mainstay and multiple forms of ownership. A distribution system in which distribution methods coexist determines the status of public ownership in all economic forms, including the digital economy. Long-term economic growth and widespread use of technology can sometimes change the entire economic, social, and political structure of a society, which is called general-purpose technologies. In the context of the digital economy, the impact of capital on intelligent production. The control will also continue to indirectly control the laborers who have not been replaced by machines in the intelligent system, and control the digital laborers participating in digital production by new means, and the labor force of the capitalized laborers will continue to be instrumentalized at the same time. At the same time, the digital economy has changed the production, consumption, and distribution methods of the national economy. With the advancement of production tools, intelligent production is gradually replacing traditional mechanical production, which means lower labor costs and higher efficiency, and a new pattern of social production methods, labor methods, and distribution relations will emerge. Taking advanced digital technologies such as ABCD and 5G as examples, we can find the trend of public ownership at the technical level in the development of digital economy. Big data helps to efficiently solve the problems of information acquisition and decision-making on major issues. The decentralization and encryption technology of blockchain can provide efficient digital identities for the transaction of digital information products. Cloud computing helps information storage, and cross-space AI technology helps to solve the problems of high repetition and strong regularity, and 5G technology helps to solve the high latency of low latency activities such as unmanned driving, online conferences, air classrooms, metaverse virtual space games and entertainment, etc. Required. The above sums up the upgrading of production methods and the improvement of production efficiency. These upgrades and advancements based on digital technology have spawned a batch of advanced digital network production tools with lower and lower barriers to use and higher levels of intelligence. To reach users, it has a certain degree of openness, publicity, and sharing. Social digital systems based on digital technology, such as social networks, financial payment systems, consumer shopping platforms, and special needs service platforms, are actually digital infrastructures in the digital era that are open to the public and have low thresholds. Here we can further look at the publicization trend at the level of digital technology from the two perspectives of digital content production tools and digital content carrying systems. At the tool level of content production and application, there have been and will be more and more cases of public ownership of the digital economy represented by intelligent production. For example, through intelligent digital image synthesis technology, the system can intelligently synthesize related pictures after inputting descriptive text in the search box. In addition, the creation and production of poetry, music, animation and other content products will become more and more intelligent. Production tools will also continue to improve their intelligence level with large-scale data training. The intelligent production of digital content itself represents a kind of everyone can do it, everyone can use it. At the level of the digital system that carries and disseminates content, especially China's digital economic platforms, such as WeChat, Doubao, Douyin, Taoxiao and other digital economic platforms have become truly available to everyone, built by everyone, and shared by everyone. They will still extend more and more digital sharing economy models and application scenarios. It's just that these characteristics are only the tip of the iceberg displayed by the digital economy, not the whole face of the digital economy, and the capitalization and private color of the platform economy itself, as the contradictory opposite of the publicization trend, is sufficient to overcome the digital productivity level. The boundary between private and public digital technology will coexist with the trend of publicization for a long time. In addition, combined with the discussion of the capitalization process of the digital economy, we can find that advanced digital technologies such as ABCD and 5G are leading the digital economy to the content era that has fully arrived. In 2022, public opinion and its major internet platforms will be hotly debated. The metaverse of the world is the conceptual distillation of this trend. Whether the surname of advanced technology is public or private, there needs to be a difference in level. At the institutional level, from the perspective of my country's economic system, all digital means of production and their technologies are theoretically surnamed public. At the technical attribute level, advanced technologies representing advanced productivity are essentially tools to improve the efficiency of social production and distribution. Its surname is public or private, whether it is good or evil depends on the user. However, in the stage of mixed ownership economy, the coexistence of public ownership as the main body and multiple ownerships determines that advanced digital technology will have two sides in terms of institutional and technical attributes. One is the trend of public ownership at the level of institutional fairness, and the other is capital at the level of technical efficiency. Color. There is an inclusive relationship between the two levels of institution and technology. Institutional fairness is based on public ownership, and technical efficiency is based on capitalization. At the current primary stage of socialism in China, public ownership and multiple ownership coexist, but the former is the mainstay. The means of production of the digital economy itself has the characteristics of publicity in source. The traffic and user data in the digital economy era are produced by the labor of the majority of users, which are inherently social and public in nature and belong to the socialized mass production of the digital age. This essential feature determines that the digital economy is a new form of socialized mass production, and there is a contradiction with the private possession of traffic, information, and data under the background of the capitalization of the digital economy. The resolution of this contradiction requires the transition from private possession of means of production at the production level to socialist public ownership at the system level. How to maintain the dominant position of public ownership at the institutional level is a long-term priority, but how to guide the transformation of new technologies to serve the masses and prevent excessive capitalization is an important task at the current stage. When advanced digital technology is used by capital, it will fall into the embrace of capital. If it is applied to the construction of social digital infrastructure, the production of public goods, and the fair distribution of social resources, it will benefit the society and the people. It is necessary to correctly understand and grasp the characteristics and laws of advanced digital technology, give full play to the positive value of advanced digital technology, and prevent it from being abused by capital. The supervision of the combination of technology and capital should be strengthened to give full play to the advantages of technical efficiency and prevent the barbaric growth of capital with the help of technology. We should cut off the hidden danger of technology and capital alliance that threatens national economic security, support, and guide the healthy development of capital regulation, and make capital serve the development of a socialist market economy with Chinese characteristics and the realization of the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. In short, at the current stage of social development, those key technologies and core technologies that are related to national security, international competition, and people's livelihood must be developed under the macro control of the system and the government, regardless of whether they are public or private. This requires balancing the relationship between government regulation and enterprise innovation, neither letting it run its course nor impeding the drive for innovation. Deng Xiaoping emphasized in his talk in the South that the essence of socialism is to liberate productive forces, develop productive forces, eliminate exploitation, eliminate polarization, and ultimately achieve common prosperity. The capitalization of the digital economy can indeed mobilize the enthusiasm and creativity of market players in the short term, but in the long run, there is a risk of fundamentally accelerating polarization, which is not conducive to the development of socialist public ownership. However, the advanced nature of digital technology itself cannot be denied. In the primary stage of socialism, we should firmly support the economic development of multiple ownership systems, but we must ensure the dominant position of public ownership and prevent the dominant position of public ownership from being eroded. The root of the capitalization of the digital economy is the contradiction between private possession of digital production materials and socialized mass production in the digital age. The attribute of ownership determines the publicization and capitalization of elements and models of the digital economy, and thus determines the control of capital over various links in the market. The ownership form adopted by our country in the primary stage of socialism based on national conditions is public ownership as the main body and multiple ownership economies coexisting. From the two perspectives of system and technology, public ownership as the main body of the system and multiple ownerships as the main body of efficiency also derive the publicization trend and capitalization color of the digital economy, and this state will exist in a certain period of time. The resulting contradictory movement between digital economic productivity and production relations has not only brought about obvious social progress, but also produced many disadvantages. From the perspective of Marxist theory, Mao Zedong thought, and the theoretical system of socialism with Chinese characteristics, studying the capitalization tendency and publicization trend of the digital economy will help to grasp the fundamental line of public ownership in theory and promote mixed ownership towards the people, and social development requires reform, optimization, and upgrading. The significance of the development of the digital economy lies not only in the level of digital industrialization and industrial digitization, but also in the significance of shaping the new infrastructure for social development in the new era. In the entire top-level design, the government originally wanted to rely on the power of the market and capital to solve the so-called three new mountains of education, medical care, and housing, just as it successfully relied on the market and capital, introducing foreign capital, more than 40 years ago. The problem of widespread poverty has been solved. However, due to the excessive profit-seeking, commercialization, and short-sightedness of capital, it does not match. Many nasty problems have been exposed. When the problem was gradually exposed, the top management started a seemingly tough process of decapitalization. However, such decapitalization, under the background that these three major areas are very closely related to the international capital market, there are a large number of education and medical companies listed on the U.S. stock market, while real estate companies have huge foreign debts, caused a huge revaluation of Chinese concept stocks and Chinese dollar bonds, or the collapse of value, may accelerate the decoupling of the Chinese economy from the global capital market. However, this may no longer be a high-level priority. From a national level, poverty is certainly not socialism, but after the general poverty problem is solved, what will be done in the next 100 years? National unity, common prosperity, and national rejuvenation. This is the country's grand strategy, and this is the first trend that investment should look at. There is a big logic here. China is a socialist market economy. This combination is intriguing, and the weight of socialism and market economy can be constantly adjusted according to the needs of the situation. The original intention of the reform and opening up in the early days was to solve the problem of expanding the increment through the market economy, and then solve the problem of stock distribution through socialism. It can be said that in the logic of the entire policy plan, it is time to adjust the combined weight of socialism and market economy. Whether to have more markets or more plans depends on the ultimate goal, whether it is efficiency or fairness, whether it is to encourage the rich first or to suppress the rich later. Looking back, the 18th National Congress of the Communist Party of China is the peak of the discourse power of the market economy. Since the 19th National Congress of the Communist Party of China, great changes have taken place in the high-level discourse system. To do macro, we must have a deep understanding of the profound connotation of the new era of socialism. At present, after the absolute poverty problem is solved, the next step is to solve the relative gap between the rich and the poor, as well as a series of livelihood issues. This is an inevitable choice at the intersection of 2 centuries. Decapitalization may be the first step, and then reconsider the boundaries of marketization, or fully nationalize and return to the unified model. For the new 3 big mountains, the country originally wanted to solve them through the means of the market economy, especially the 18th National Congress, which raised the market economy to an unprecedented height since the reform and opening up. However, more than 10 years of practice has proved that the problem of the new 3 mountains cannot be solved by relying on the market and private capital alone. Then it is natural to return to socialism, which is the instinctive national will and policy response. The market economy is responsible for efficiency, there must be brave men under heavy rewards, and making money stimulates people's enthusiasm. Socialism is responsible for fairness, education, medical treatment, there is a place to live, which reflects a kind of human rights. For more than 40 years, socialism and the market economy have been advancing in the contradictory relationship between integration and conflict, showing another kind of resilience and tension in China's economic and social system. It is precisely this tension that has achieved the current development results of the Chinese economy. However, if this resilient space and tension disappear, a huge institutional involution and a historical resurgence are likely to occur. This should not be judged blindly, because the reform itself is a process of continuous trial and error. In terms of dynamics, many people don't turn back if they don't hit the south wall, and don't give up until they reach the Yellow River. In the narrative system of the top-level designers, the current reforms are tough, and all the easy ones have been changed. Now every reform is a tough battle. What is the reason? Because China's economic development has now entered a new stage. The main feature is the emergence of various social problems that cannot be solved by money. That is to say, the ship of reform has entered a gray area, a complex and uncertain quantum world, and many problems are superposition states of different attributes. Simple problems are easy to solve, but many problems now are the superposition of socialism and market economy, the superposition of government and market. We call this state the deep water area of reform, the no man's land. The medical system is a typical representative, and almost no country can handle it well. Because the product of medical treatment is neither a purely private good nor a pure public good, but a superimposed product. Reform in this area is the most difficult. Recently, I have been conducting research on quasi-public goods and social enterprises. Because many problems in the future, global and domestic, including health, environmental protection, climate, social stability and many other serious problems, are not purely economic and commercial problems, but very complex social problems. To solve these problems, we cannot rely solely on the public sector, nor can we rely solely on commercial enterprises. There should be a third way. However, this path goes beyond the cognition of traditional economics. Whether it is neoclassical economics or socialist economics, it is difficult to explain it. The former wants to deny the basic assumption of self-interest of rational people, while the latter wants to subvert planning commission calculation model. It is very difficult to achieve these 2 points, and they are both broken attachments to fatal conceit. China's economy has developed for decades, and the practice of reform and opening up is to solve the problem of insufficient aggregate supply through market-oriented methods. In a planned economy, supply is insufficient, and in a market economy, demand is insufficient. The first 30 years of marketization can be said to be very successful. In the early days of the reform, we often said that one package is effective. As long as the responsibilities and rights are clarified, especially the minimum profit accounting unit is minimized, the Chinese people will be motivated by money, driven by infinite enthusiasm. Therefore, the most successful reform in China is the household contract responsibility system. With the family as the smallest independent accounting unit, the role of the market economy has been brought into full play. Zhao Jian, To overthrow the three new mountains, decapitalization is only the